Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to the soft hum of fluorescent lighting here in Kentucky Route Zero. I don't really know what to say to Junebug about the performance that we just saw there. My suspicion is that was not really Conway's kind of music. We'll try to be gracious about it. Well, hope you liked it. I've heard it, but do I think I've heard it before? No, it's a sad song. We're gonna comment on the content of the song because, like I said, Conway maybe not so much into the type of music. It's kind of sad, isn't it? Kind of. Listen, we appreciate you folks sticking around for the show. There's nothing more wretched than playing sad songs to an empty room. We've just got to go get our fee from Harry, and then we'll get you headed to the Zero. That's weird. Okay. Maybe they're not robots. Maybe they just have robot legs? Maybe they have robot pants. That would not be the weirdest thing that we've seen here. Should we help them get their fee from Harry? Kind of seems like the only thing to do. Well, Harry, I think that went pretty well. I'd say the crowd was into it. Reverential. Rapt, even. I guess the usual fee's about right, and then we'll let you get back to your, business. Well, that's just the... Damn it, I was trying to tell you to. I can't pay. They cleaned me out. I got nothing left but a GD IOU from the distillery. An IOU? Yeah, I traded them for some whiskey, and I guess I had some surplus credit, so I got this note to get some more from them later on. It must have been a hell of a trade. I had to. You gotta keep this place open somehow, goddammit. Hey, watch your language, Harry. Well, shoot, could you just pay them with the IOU then? Oh, God. What's that? You know what they're talking about? Listen, tell you what. You point my friends and I to the Zero, and we'll call it even. Are you folks sure you want to head down there? I've never been myself, but I hear... people hear things. Rumors. I heard there's a whole office building just full of bears. Can you imagine? Well, do you know another way to Dogwood Drive? At some point we should try to make this delivery, right? Dogwood? Got a letter, did you? I've got a stack of them. Well, okay, sounds like the Zero's your only course now. Harry, you're all right. If only. You got a radio in your car? Yeah? Well, here's what you gotta do. Take a left out of the parking lot, and then just fiddle around on your dial till you hear something familiar, but... familiar but strange. You know the feeling? Like, I used to go hunt with my uncle out in the mountains, and now I watch these nature programs. They're filmed in the mountains, and there's the deer, and I know all the plants and every kind of tree, but something just doesn't look right. And it's even stranger for being so close to familiar. Something like that. You'll know it when you hear it. You fix that strange but familiar station on your dial, drive for a bit, and then turn around when the station cuts out. I mean, right then. I hope you folks find what you're looking for. Eventually. Always a pleasure, Harry. Is it? I don't know. I didn't really read that in a sardonic way. I read that in more of a sort of exasperated way. I'm going to be honest with you. Not everything reads sardonically very well. Also, that voice I'm using for Harry doesn't sardonic all that well either. Okay, so back to the Zero then? We don't have anything else that we were supposed to be doing up here, do we? We can just drive around a little bit? Ooh, maybe I can't just... Okay, there we go. And Julian's just gonna follow me, it looks like. He's not leading us anywhere or anything. Conway leaves the truck to stretch his legs by the creek. He follows the edge of the road, then wanders a bit into the woods where the creek and road part. The creek bed is nearly dry this time of year, but a few thin channels still run through the rocks. He can barely make out the moonlit silhouette of an overturned boat, a few dozen yards down the creek. He reaches habitually into his jacket pocket, then remembers he doesn't carry a flask anymore. Harry used to be a drinker, not a drinker anymore. That's what I'm... Conway, rather. Not a drinker anymore, that's what I'm thinking. There are a lot of reasons a thing like that can happen. So I suppose we ought to, get on business here. But I do like just driving around. The drive-in theater. Were we supposed to come here? Did we have a reason to be here? this particular place is really illuminating something this game is doing that is just like true of America, that is like really important about America in my reckoning of it, is this idea of like little tiny bits of civilization out in the middle of absolutely nothing. You know, you'll be driving and you won't have seen anything for hours and hours, and then you'll happen across like a rest stop or something. There's something about that idea that's really like America to me, and this game, that's the feeling that so many of the things in this game are calling up, I think. Now this must be near the end. Do you think? Sure, you can tell they're all in crisis. What makes you think they're in crisis? It's really hard to tell what's happening, actually. It's in their posture. You see how the big one is all slumped there? Like they were just introducing him. They'd want him to look tall and powerful. But now you see him worn down to almost nothing. That's pathetic. Well, that's the idea, Cricket. Do you think they'll start it over after the ending? Yeah, they do that sometimes. Good, I want to know how it starts. You want to see the beginning after the ending? Maybe it's better that way. Do all these people know each other? Ezra's a big fan of the work of Quentin Tarantino. I think they work together, maybe. So all I've really seen is, like, there was an image of a guy and an image of a woman, and then an image of what looked like a small white rectangle. So we're gonna just deduce some things about the plot here. That dark-haired lady's the boss. Conway's drawn from experience here. And she's troubled, probably. Oh, okay. How come nobody talks? It's silent, before your time. And do they just play old movies here? I don't know much about movies, honestly. No? That's funny. You seem like the type. Sitting in a theater watching some old cowboy movie. Big old bag of popcorn. And for what it's worth, I don't know much about movies either. I like TV. Now, you know the difference between film and TV? A film is projected light that gets bounced off a screen. You see the reflection. But with a TV, you look straight at the light. Oh, damn, did you see that? I'm not sure you should be watching this, kid. I'm not watching. Well, I definitely didn't see that coming. In fact, I haven't seen it now, even after it came. It took a violent turn there. We should get back on the road. Well, I mean, at this point, let's just watch and see how it ends. Man's liable to be killed by the suspense if we don't. So, what are you hauling back there? Anything good? You been driving long? Yeah, which question do we answer? It's antiques. Well, naturally. Do you have any of those little, ceramic, I want to say porcelain figures? You know, slice of life? You collect porcelain figurines? Nah, I just like to look at them sometimes. I like how they all have their jobs just painted on, you know? Like I saw one in a gas station the other day who could have been either a milkman or a cop. He just had that hat and uniform, right? And who knows how it went down. Maybe they just had more blue paint that day. American Moments figurine, cop. $35. They posed him next to a dusty milkman, his brother, $15. Hey, what are they doing? They're burying him. She seems eager to not have Ezra watch the rest of the movie, but I'm kind of enjoying the conversation. We're just going to hang out a bit. This is a real, just kind of hang out and talk kind of game. Well, it seems like a lot of trouble to make a delivery. You couldn't have referred them to someone local? No, they were very specific. Weirdly specific, actually. Huh. Well, good for them knowing what they want, I guess. Whoa, that's it? Yeah, it just kind of trailed off. It was really weird the way the big guy just sat down in the road like that. What do you think it means? Well, it sounds to me like he just gave up, but I don't know if I think it would be unwise for Conway to indulge in that kind of thinking here. He's going to just brush that off. I guess we'll never know. Okay, I can live with that. Shannon's too smart to fall for. She must see what we did there. Well, let's get back on the road, huh? Yeah, man, these like little scenes sort of out in the middle, points of light in the darkness, so to speak. It's definitely, it communicates something to me. It feels like something, you know? So we're just gonna drive around some more. I miss this. I haven't had a car for a while, and I am a big fan of, especially like when you move into a new place, just going out at night and driving around and seeing what all is nearby. You could like look at Google Maps or something, but it's not the same thing. You can't feel the place that way. It sounds like I sound like an idiot. What am I talking about? But I don't know. It's something I miss doing. It'd be nice to have a car again. Who can afford it though? Hey, a picnic. We're just barging on somebody's picnic. A blanket is spread in the grass just off the road. It would make a reasonable spot for a picnic, sheltered in the daytime by a coffee tree. Well, I guess let's walk over there. Shannon walks over to the picnic spread. 5 places are set. One plate is piled with ham, another with apples. That's a weird, examine the apples, I guess. Shannon pushes at an apple with a stick. This is a very cautious way to examine it. The apples are waxy. No, the apples are wax. Wax apples for display. Maybe toys? Someone must have been here playing at a picnic. The supplies are weathered. Hard to tell how long ago that happened. Things like that, I kind of wonder. Like, it wouldn't make a big narrative difference. I'm curious, though, if we would have gotten a different result. If we had poked at the ham, maybe it would have turned out that the food was real, you know? The bait shop is closed. Well, I should still be able to get into my workshop, right? Conway and Shannon walk around to the side of the building. Shannon fumbles with her key for a bit and then looks down at her feet. The locks have been changed. She writes a short but stern note about tenants' rights and pins it to the door. Yeah, tenants' rights, that's a tough one. In theory, you have some rights, but enforcement is a different matter entirely. He said, not speaking from experience. Can we examine the artificial limb factory? No, it's there, but that's all. Also, I think we just got honked at. Maybe Junebug and Johnny would like to get on with it. I suppose it looks like we've been pretty much everywhere anyway at this point. We tried to go back to the farmhouse before we even checked in at Equus Oils, right? So, well, I guess the farmhouse is how we get back to the Zero, though, right? The farmhouse is how we got on the Zero in the first place. That's right. We were told to go to the mine, but it didn't actually do anything. Then again, we were just told. Hold on, we just received directions about this. About the radio. Do I actually have... Do I have radio control? I have a button for this. Also, at this point, the car's just kind of driving itself. I'm definitely not indicating anymore. There we go. Alright, radio. Oh, okay. Familiar for me is definitely FM. I have spent no time listening to AM. Wait, was that actual voice dialogue? Oh, maybe there was a commercial or something. The station doesn't quite match the bartenders. Okay, thank you, Shannon. I know this isn't the thing. I'm working on it. I thought for a second there we were going to get a GTA-style fake advertisement, though, and I was excited. So something familiar, but not quite... Familiar but strange, right? We haven't heard all that much music in the game. So I'm assuming it's going to be... Well, I don't think that's it. I'm assuming it's going to be something similar to the song we just heard. Although, I guess it could be something similar to the organ music? From that organ performance? I'm going to be honest with you, it's been long enough that I don't remember what the song sounded like. What's this station? I've never heard this before. Sounds like horses? Horses running a race? Yeah, Charlie and I used to go to races sometimes. Charlie, he was your boss's kid, right? The one who, yeah, must be some memories there. Well, that fits familiar but strange for me. Harry said we just drive until it cuts out, and then we turn around right away, right? Or maybe we're not going to have the opportunity. Hey, I don't know much about horses in the real world. Do they do this thing that we're seeing here, where they just stand with their one leg in the air? They're making sort of the same shape as the Equus Oil's underground area that sort of looked like a horse's legs. That's how it was standing, right? Oh, hey. We did it. Okay. We heard about some interesting stuff in the Zero here. I'd be very curious to see the Consolidated Power Office. We'd have to find our way back to the Bureau first, though. All of the directions are from the Bureau. Okay, so... maybe we're still driving until the station cuts out and then turning around? Oh, wait a minute now. That's interesting. This thing we couldn't interact with before. It now has an extremely ominous name. Or, maybe it's not ominous. Maybe they just really like that piece of music here. No, it's kind of ominous. What are we looking at here? These sort of remind me of, I don't exactly know what they are, but on the tops of those big towers that power lines run across in areas where there's not a lot of buildings for them to run to, there are these things that I assume are for winding the power lines around. Is that what we're looking at here, maybe? Let's ask the dog. I'm sure she'll know. In general, we have asked the dog... these are both questions, it turns out. What do you suppose happened here? Just old and rotted, maybe? I can't tell how old any of this stuff is down here. Let's not focus on our mortality in this moment. When we're driving around, I sort of conceptualize the space we're driving in as looking like a big cave, but maybe it's the case that we generally can't see. When we stopped for the deja vu thing, we could totally see walls. And they were pretty close in, and I've been thinking about it that way the whole time. But here it sure looks like everything is so distant that we can't really... like, it's just like there's a fog preventing us from telling where anything is. The bridge ends abruptly, crumbling in disrepair. Bridge over what, one wonders? Time to cut him loose, ma'am? What, you bored? Nah, it's a slow night anyway. I'm happy just tagging along. I guess we're heading up to some kind of boardwalk up here? Or the legs of chairs, maybe, like a chair that's been set upside down, with its 100 weirdly ornate legs in the air. A loop of decayed rope is coiled on the banister. Some rotted sections have been smoothed over with a fine dust. Does seem like a lot of rope. And also just a big pile of CRT monitors? And I guess some actual boxes in there, right? Broken computer monitors are heaped precariously among the rocks. Rope, a computer monitor, and a cat carrier. These are like symbols from the Zero. A pet carrier for a cat or small dog has been left by the path. A calcified rag wadded in one corner may once have been a blanket. So not everybody's coming with us. Looks like Blue's still at the truck. I can hardly even see that backpack. I'm glad there was a notification that there's a thing there. It gets a little clearer as you get closer to it. A hiking backpack leans against a rock. It's empty, except for a dusty bag of cat food and a few punch cards. That's a weird thing to have a backpack full of. Maybe don't get that close to the fire. A pile of discarded electronics burns steadily in the center of the chamber. Well, at least we now feel like it's a cave again. It's weird, we usually can't examine things multiple times. Oh, it's triangles within triangles down here. Shifting, intersecting, overlaying. Isn't it romantic? Let's see. You're here to steal back the love of a boy you once knew, when you were too young to recognize the movements of the heart. And you're escorting her, pretending to have her interests at heart, while really... Really, you're in love with the young woman as well, and so you've agreed to help him conspire to win her affections, but it's just a ploy to set him up for embarrassment and diminish him out of the picture. Yeah, I'm into it. Well, maybe I still have the knack. I used to be really good at this. I had 11 novels published, from The Billionaire's Bidding to Fields of Longing. Real hot, bodice-ripping stuff, you know? I miss those days in my Lexington studio apartment. Just me and my thesaurus steaming up the windows. I'm not sure you should be listening to this, kid. I'm not listening. You know what? I bet that's true. But of course, it couldn't last. You know, suddenly it was all computers everywhere you went. I thought I might be able to do something with that, inject a little libido into those ugly beige boxes. So I went back to the university, and I studied human-computer interaction. Then I picked up Donald's research assistantship here as a tester, you know, debugging. In my off hours, I played around with the doomed love story at the core of our little simulation. That seemed to amuse Donald, so I kept at it. I'm afraid I tinkered too much, made it too complex. Now our work is never done. We don't even have to add any new functionality. The bugs just grow on their own. It's too complex. I miss those days in my Lexington studio apartment. What a strange woman. A woman in a tattered cardigan looks furtively at the other people around the fire. Oh, not just us. There are actually other people here. And if I look at the fire again, is it just going to give me the same text? Yes, it is. Okay. Hey, everybody. Check out my amazing electric leg. A hell of an icebreaker. Donald puffs on a smoldering pipe while half mumbling, half singing an old country tune. Where the old green... I'm, again, not going to sing. I can half mumble, though. Where the old green river runs, through hills and caves not known to us, down to that sunless sea. I prefer sunless skies myself. Oh, who are you? Sorry, did we startle you? I might say you did. Thought you might be one of them. Oh, no, you can't be. We've been patching all their spy holes. We keep the lights dim and the motors running softly, and we route the smoke out through... out through... That is... what were we talking about? You were singing. Oh, you've caught a verse of my absent-minded warbling. It's just a song from my youth. Something a dear friend used to sing to herself as we hacked on crystal radios in the boiler room. In old Kentucky where my love a lovely home did build for me, and where the old green river runs through hills and caves not known to us, down to that sunless sea. And from there on, it's all meandering rivers and romantic greenery, and... that is... What were we talking about? Hey, what's that what's that computer over there? Looks pretty vintage. Well, it looks like a harmless old computer, doesn't it? Like some beat-up mainframe exhumed from a university basement and left in this cave to rot. Or to flower. No, it's no ordinary computer. I've modified it extensively. And in some pretty experimental ways, believe you me. And that's to say nothing of the software, but... You know, you look like a technically minded sort of person, you can tell from the pants. Tell me, do you know the effects of mold growth on diffused-based transistor circuitry? Well... Boy, I don't. Sounds like maybe it would short-circuit? No, certainly. But not all of it. Some moldy filaments are more or less conductive than others, and it grows in non-linear chaotic patterns. We can guide it a bit through a simple application of classical horticulture, but we can't produce specific results, only tendencies. Thwarted and feeble, we hammer on this derelict keyboard. My name is Reason, King of Kings. But we are mere gardeners in the ruins. Our keystrokes echo off into the tunnels. Boundless and bare, the caves stretch far away. We are too late. Always too late. What? Did you say something? Yeah, you were about to tell us about the software? No, actually, you know what? I'm more interested in the mold computer. The mold computer? Oh, Xanadu, you've heard about it. Perhaps you read about it in a journal. It's been years since I published anything. Xanadu has evolved significantly since I explained its data structures in my article Literary Multitudes, Hypertextual Narrative as Post-Structural Witness. Yo, that title is kind of fascinating, actually. Evolved, and then deteriorated. Donald sighs dramatically and takes a puff from his pipe. I'm afraid you're too late, fellow hypertext enthusiast. As the mold accumulated on the circuitry, Xanadu blossomed for a moment into something holy and enchanted. Then, all the charm was broken. You have any idea what it's like to spend your life building something, and then sit powerlessly as your work declines into ruin? You know, in a bunch of ways, yes, apparently we do. I've been trying to avoid having the characters dip too deep into their sorrows, but I think this might be a good moment for commiseration. Well, I drive deliveries for a small antique shop, and we're closing down. Shuffling around the dusty ghosts of antiquity. Well, I have my own ghosts, and I keep them in there, in Xanadu. It's running on that glorious dusty machine. Take a look if you'd like. Too late to do anything but smoke and reminisce anyway. Far too late to do anything. Huh. Alright, we're gonna get to that. I'm very curious about that. How do we actually... Okay, there we go. Got myself a little sidetracked by all these shelves. Do you know that when I first... No, I mean, if this cave were larger, could it... Oh, now I'm getting ahead of myself. I've got it. How would you characterize this space? The one we're standing in now? Well, it seems completely nonsensical. You know, it's a real mess. Yeah, a catastrophe. Or the site of some ancient catastrophe. Anyway, I'm sure the evidence is all around us. It is really hard to tell how big it is. Also, is it safe for us to be that close to the fire? If it's all electronics, I mean the fumes and stuff. We're gonna go with this. The shadows make it hard to tell how big it is. Well, sure, that's... but they're not just shadows, right? I mean, they could be. They're like projections. Or maybe they're anatomies. How's that? Can you tell where we are now, surrounded by creeping anatomies? Okay, close your eyes. Will you close your eyes? You know what? Junebug's sparring with him. We're just going to let her keep control of the situation here. Only if you close yours. Okay, I can do it from memory. Alright, good. Now, you're standing at the top of a rocky peak. A tongue of flame licks the shadowy anatomies of... Where are we? Oh, here again. How disappointing. You know, he's maybe the strangest one yet. So, what are all these computers for? Computers? Oh, now I remember. I was writing on them. I described a cave. That was my job. Describe the cave. There's a great history of caves in the literature, don't you know? The walls are frozen rivers of orange stone. Isn't that vivid? I had a lot to live up to. So I was a grad student studying statistics when I started working with Donald on his project. He said we needed someone with a more analytical mind to do the descriptive writing. Someone who would appreciate the cave descriptions as real labor instead of taking their authorial voice for granted. That Donald warned me it would be long hours of typing painstakingly detailed descriptions into the computer. And I've put in the hours, believe me, I've put in the hours. I have described every facet of this cave in such detail that sometimes I don't know if I'm reading or looking, writing or exploring. And often, in the dark and lonely moments, I worry that in my sleep I've transcribed rooms from my dreams into the system. And how would we know? They can only be entered with precise, faithful detail, and that's all I know how to write, and all I dream about is caves. I only dream of caves. And he just sort of trails off, and then the conversation's over. Such as it was. It might not be fair to describe that as a conversation. I kind of felt like he was talking past me the whole time. A man wearing large glasses inspects the ceiling. You know, it's kind of interesting that we're only getting the examination prompts for them after we've spoken to them. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but that is the opposite of the way that generally goes in video games, right? Let's go check out this big wooden gate. Oh, you know what? That might be corrugated metal. A massive gate constructed out of scavenged materials blocks passage from this down the far side of the spire. Easier to read the descriptions if you just read the words that are there and not words that aren't there. The kingdom is in peril! Roberta laughs. Well, what else is new? Sorry, where's the kingdom? You're in the throne room. There are 3 legendary treasures hidden throughout the castle that will restore these ruins to their former glory. Well, what do they look like? She's messing with you, kid. Roberta laughs. Enchanted jewelry, talismans, a magic mirror that prevents the future. A magic shield that protects the bearer from age. A magic chest that's always filled with... I never went to the university. I was an independent scholar. That means I took to the public libraries like a beachcomber. I studied fairy tales. Then I came to work for Donald. I paid the bills, rubbed leathering elbows. That's a weird way to describe that. I assume she's, there's a stereotype of academics with, like, tweed jackets that have leather patches on the elbows, which I think is the imagery that's being evoked here, but also the idea of a leathering elbow, I guess, suggests aging. Anyway, scraped black mold from cave walls. Finally, now I carry the firewood into senescence. Kingdom is in peril. So I guess she's the one who throws the old electronics on the fire? A woman in a long, worn shirt stares at the fire, lost in thought. I wonder if these descriptions are at all affected by the choices we're making during the dialogue, and that's why we're getting them after? And maybe we're sort of determining their demeanor? Conway, you having some trouble? There we go. I think I was too far to the side for him to turn down the thing easily. Baffling control panels are sheltered from the elements with a worn tarp. A closet-sized wall of knobs and wires looms behind the machine, humming faintly. An electric typewriter is the only easily recognizable component. Would you need a tarp for a thing in a cave? How big does a cave have to be for it to have weather? So, how do you think we get it started? This old thing? Or maybe there's a hand crank around. Oh, it has a run key. A lot more camera movements than you might expect for the operation of a computer. So I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've had a scene change while we were still in the same location, right? Oh wow, it's almost like an oscilloscope. At Den of Ardo. Okay, this thing is... I don't think this is working right. You are standing at the... Wow. That's a cool effect. We're standing at the end of something? Boy, around you is a fires. What on earth are we looking at here? Ha! This thing is in rough shape. Try blowing on it. Conway blows some dust off the keyboard and presses the return key. You are standing at the end of road before a small brick building around you. A series of lines and dots. Yeah, okay, I'd say that's what's being depicted here. Okay, that's worse. You know, it kind of looks like a house. We could type house. So Conway types house, and then that's... Ooh, that's not a volar cornative. Oh no. We're gonna have to figure out how to type a volar cornative. In bled... What? I mean, that could have been a place name. It looks angry. I think we've made the video game angry. You are in a bed quilt. A long east-west package with Heinz everywhere. Bottles of ketchup stacked to the ceiling. Lula? Joseph and Lula? Remove the computer... Boy, I can't make any... They are crying? No, because they are carrying something on their backs. They remove the computer equipment they are carrying on their backs and begin seeing P. So everything's something here now? Hey, wait, did that say Lula? Yeah, just type Lula. Why not? This is how you interact with adventure games. You just type any noun that you see. Sure, Donald. Something as tell me inventory. I've got the machine and the system hustler. Parts the barweed from the School of Music. Something from the School of Music. Joseph has his there's some punch cards. Boy, I can't make out any of this. It's definitely worse. We shouldn't have blown on it. How's your back holding up? He's carrying the machine on his back? Yeah, I can't tell what she's saying, it turns out. Oh, I have my portable degausser with me. Oh, why didn't you think of that before? Old systems like this one can build up a remnant magnetic field that sort of warps everything along whatever pattern it's settled into, you know? The degausser clears that up by suddenly shaking the magnetic field around until it's uniform again. That's how I like to think of it anyway, like shaking a snow globe. That's worth a shot. Yes, please degauss. Oh my god, that's so much better. The Hall of the Mountain Gink. Oh, it was only better briefly. After what may have been Mylar, you stumble something on a tunnel. There's a cavern. A tunnel and a cavern. Well, okay. Stalactites adorn the ceiling like grates. With greatness. Stalactites adorn the ceiling and make greatness. In the center is an enormous, let's say rock spire. This is where you set up your equipment. Premature end of fire. Oh, hey, look at that. That's actually understandable. Press any key to quit. So maybe it's just that file is corrupted, because the system line seems to be okay. Oh, this is a lost cause. What a piece of junk. What a loud piece of junk. That used to be a thing you had to do sometimes, by the way, that degaussing. CRT monitors had a tendency to build up magnetic interference. I have no idea what the science behind that is, but I do know that after you had not done it for a while, it was extremely satisfying to hit the degauss button and see the whole thing shake out. It's weird. That's something I miss about how bad the old technology was fixing it. Bizarre. And what was that about Lula? Maybe Donald knows how to clear it up a bit. Maybe we have to add some moss? Or maybe we should lessen the moss. Maybe we should remove some of the moss. Okay. Nothing new there. I appreciate that it gives me just like a single button I can click to go back around until we reach the important thing, instead of making me hold down the button the whole way. So this is not... Okay, again, I don't have a lot of real-world cave experience. I don't think... I've never spent time in a cave. I don't think I would like to spend time in a cave. But the rock formations in cave, the stalagmites, which are the ones that come up from the ground, right, don't look like this. Maybe it is supposed to be evoking the idea of those things on the power lines, or maybe it's just supposed to be weird. Could be the case it's just supposed to be weird. So, you've seen it for yourself, or what's left of it. Yeah, it's pretty busted. The chalky bones of a beautiful dream. But you can see what it once was, can't you? Can't you? There was so much more to it. Ornate labyrinths of memory, exhaustively simulated parallel cave ecosystems, real artificial intelligence built on a sophisticated neural network algorithms. The birds in the forest could flock in 3 dimensions. The bats could learn to sing. And then it began to crumble when the strangers came. At first we only heard them, walking heavily through the caves, dragging things around, hammering and clattering their tools. Sometimes we heard working songs, never close enough to make out real voices, just their echoes cascading wordlessly in the tunnels. Then we caught a glimpse of one. And what did they look like? They look like... No, it's too horrible. I shouldn't be telling you about this. They're dangerous. They're strange. I should never have tried to outwit them. They were always too much for me. But it's too late now. If I'd listened to Lula, Hey, Lula Chamberlain. Yes, of course. Oh, do you know her? Yeah, we're looking for her now. Oh, no, she's gone now. She left. We built this together, did you know? Lula, Joseph, and I. Lula is gone from here, but... Donald points across the cave with his pipe. Still in there. In Xanadu. I don't know where Lula is now, or how to get there from here, or how to unwind that damned tangled highway. But Xanadu, before its ruin, was faultless as an oracle, a shrine to perfect simulation. Until... But maybe... Those weird interlopers destroyed my Xanadu. Perhaps they know how to fix it. It may be dangerous. I've sent many eager seconds to negotiate with them, to repair my masterpiece. Back there, that tunnel. Push back the vines. Crawl out into the darkness. Watch your step. After a while, you'll feel the terrain change beneath your hands and knees, from rock to crystal, and then to mud. And then you'll be out. That's where the strangers come from. Now, leave me alone. I still have a bit of mold in my pipe, and a few dreams left. I don't know if it's safe for you to be smoking that mold, my dude. Well, I mean, I guess he's been at it for some time, right? We've heard just often enough that, like, the boys from Hard Times Whiskey are disconcerting somehow, things like that I'm real nervous here. They've done a good job of threading that stuff in, again, like, just enough. I'm really glad I didn't play this when it was coming out, because I would have been driven crazy by the suspense of not being able to see through the end of it. Okay. Well, I guess we've done it. Well, this can't be right. Looks like an old church. It's worth a look inside. I guess. I want to stay outside. Why? I think I saw a lizard. I'll stay with him. Okay, we'll make it quick. Yeah, it might be best that the kid doesn't come inside, because we might see something real bad here, it seems like. An epitaph is engraved on the stone grave marker. Eric Kolksar, generous disposition, will be missed. Below the inscription, a note is written in white chalk. HT8191T, fill date June 29th. Notes of almond. That's a little worrying. Is that No, okay, that's not moving. It's the fog moving over it, not the thing in the fog moving. Another one. Ricky Grove and Rick Kernett. We think you two would really have liked each other. Below the inscription, a note written in white chalk. HT8192B. Fill date July 24th. Weird finish. I mean, it sure kind of sounds like there's alcohol. My reading of based on that is that there's alcohol being made out of these bodies. Maybe I'm connecting the Hard Times whiskey thing and the weird strangers in my head here when they're not necessarily supposed to be connected, but I wonder about this Hard Times whiskey. Damien Grosser. Always had a far-off look. Probably still does. HT8192E. Fill date August 1st. Aftertaste of rainwater. So it's got the same number but a different letter at the end of the designation, but the first grave had a different number. Wonder if we can deduce anything about their filing system here. I wonder if that's the most interesting thing going on. Maybe I'm focused on the wrong stuff. Crystal Bellevue or Rick Kernett. 8192N, fill date September 8th, sweet and fungal. Weird that they don't seem to know whose monument that is, especially since Rick Kernett was one of the names on the other one, right? Ken Gagne, maybe? Would have wanted it this way. 8192Q, fill date September 9th, maple/turpentine. I'm getting more and more concerned about Conway and Shannon here. Susan K. Jolly. Should have said something. Boy. 8192X, fill date November 1st, sense of foreboding. That's probably a fitting epitaph for an awful lot of people, but what an upsetting sentence in this context. Unknown. Seemed reasonable. 8192Y, fill date November 2nd. Easy on the nose. Can you find any lizards? One, but it went under a rock. No, you know what? Let's be honest. I wasn't really looking. There were no lizards. I never saw a lizard. I was employing lies. Oh, nice cover story, kid. What do you think the chances are that Ezra knows what a punk looks like? Is that guy your boyfriend? Nah, what's a boyfriend anyway? It's a word people use because everyone else does. It doesn't mean anything to me. He's my cricket. See? It means something. It's specific. I want to be specific. I think you are. It's the middle of the night, and here you are in a graveyard. Any other kid your age would be in bed. Also, there's that thing about the giant eagle. You just gotta make choices and own them. You think I was born this foxy? I came off the assembly line about a half-foot shorter and all gray. No eyes. Maybe she is actually a robot. And they were gonna have us clearing out the old mine. Doesn't matter what you look like under all that rock and water. A bunch of gray shadows shoveling and hammering invisibly at the walls, draining the tunnels. But Johnny found some gear, an old tape player. We hid away in an underwater cave and listened to it over and over, and we knew we weren't miners. So we slipped out onto the road, just these two featureless shadows, and ever since that night we've been detailing, coloring in, specifying. This is a really fascinating way to describe a certain process that I think a lot of people go through. A lot of people are still going through. And I feel more like myself every day. Man, I super identify with Junebug right now. I feel more like myself when it's just me and Julian. Well, there. Now you're getting specific. Yeah, I think Julian's a good specifier. Little concerned about how fast they're moving. Everything okay in there? There you are. What'd you find in there? It wasn't... Hey, what's going on? You look flushed, old man. It doesn't matter. Right, okay, we got what we need. Let's go. If they're really not going to let me see... Man, I wonder if there's a choice we could have made somewhere that would have let me see. This might have been a thing where I picked a dialogue option that specified a narrative path for us. And not to say that the thing we saw there wasn't interesting. That was a good conversation. I feel a lot closer to Junebug than I did before. but man oh man would I like to know what was in that church. Okay, Donald's singing. Trace an orbit round the road, and close your eyes with holy dread. For we on mold and whiskey fed, and drank from rivers down below. Now we found your strangers. We know how to fix your damn machine. I'm not sure it was worth it. Oh, soon the visions will return. What have you found? They say you need to scrape the mold off the timing crystal. Do we want to reduce the amount of mold in the mold computer? Maybe you just type in a specific phrase to restore it. The mold wants to be told a story. Oh, a bit of a poem to rally the illustrious spirit. Of course. Well then, type away. By all means, do not hesitate. Type away. Okay, I guess I will go and do that. Do the people look any different to us now, having come back? No. Okay. Then back to Xanadu it is. Specifying and coloring in. I really appreciate the pace of all this. There's a, I don't know, like a thoughtfulness, a pensiveness is maybe more precise. It feels like being out on the road in that way, too. Okay, so we're supposed to type dome in air. Weird. Just following instructions. Here we go. There's a kind of, like, there's probably a good word for this that I'm not familiar with. There's a kind of sense of place that is communicated by, like, the slowness and the stillness that you couldn't... It would come across differently if things moved faster. Okay, how do I dome in air? I guess I just have to wait until Shannon's ready to do it. Welcome back to Xanadu. At end of road. I guess she already typed it, because things are very fixed. So here we are at the end of the road with the small brick building. And a forest that looks very familiar to me. You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building. Around you is a forest. We should look at the building. I know Ezra loves him a forest, but let's check out the building. So most of the game's text is communicated by the typewriter output. And then just, we get a couple of, like, the scene transitions, basically, here. Okay, there's a chair and a table with a lamp on it. We're inside a building, a storage shed for the National Park Service. There is a sensible, modern electric lantern nearby. Well, obviously get lantern. Thank you, Conway, for omitting the article. This is how games are played. Right, enter forest. That's not something you can enter. Just type a direction. North is always my first choice as well. Although we should have tried open mailbox just to see. You are in open forest with a deep valley to one side. Heading back south to the building probably won't accomplish anything. Can we climb a tree? I don't think much is to be achieved by that. Oh, it really... Then Conway apologizes to the adventure game. Well, can we dig a hole? Dig a hole. You can't see any such thing. Got a pretty limited vocabulary. We turn around south and we stay in the forest. Hey, it's a maze. Well, let's just keep going south maybe for a second here. You're in forest. Lula is here, soldering replacement components in a small handmade radio. Feels like we should probably talk to her. Ask Lula how she... Conway, that's not how the text parser works. Nope, never mind. Everything's fine. Hi, Donald. I'm getting the strangest interference out here. I've been tuning the radio circuits gradually as we go, swapping capacitor values and tweaking resistor networks. It was working for a while, but everything I can pick up sounds so distant and muffled. Lula hands you the radio. Well, maybe you'll have better luck. You're good at this stuff. Just don't forget to give it back. Well, north might not take us back to where we just were, because it seems like this space maybe doesn't map all that cleanly to reality. I guess we'll just pick a different direction. Let's just wander around arbitrarily. That's what you're supposed to do when you're lost in a forest, right? Joseph is here, tapping with a small stylus on a modified pocket braille slate. A small gray kitten, no more than a few weeks old, dozes comfortably on top of his backpack. Well, maybe he has something to say. Donald, I was just transcribing your footsteps. Sounded like... Joseph runs his finger along the index card he's been tapping on, from right to left. Long, weary song, drearily gone, dearly gone. You beat a melancholy shuffle through these woods, Donald. Ha! I've been noting down the sounds of the forest, with an ear for speech, and an inborn filter for poetry, I suppose. So, maybe it's me being melancholy after all. I'm eager to see what the poetic subsystem makes of these punched cards. My suspicion is that it doesn't actually matter what direction we pick here. At edge of hole. Well, that looks kind of familiar. We're at the edge of a massive hole. The dirt gives way to rock as the ground sinks into darkness. The computer, tied to your upper back, slickens with sweat in the afternoon sun. The rope slung around your shoulder has slipped under the strap of your backpack, digging uncomfortably against your collarbone. Let's go cautiously. Yeah, we picked up this lamp. I don't dislike Ezra's idea. I just suspect that we don't quite have the verbs for this. You know what? Let's try it. Yell into the hole first to see if there are pirates. Yell. I only understood you as far as wanting to yell. Okay, apparently it does have the yell verb. Yell, any pirates down there? No response. I'm sorry, kid, you're betting 0 today. Well, at least we know there's no pirates. Or we know that the pirates that are down there are sneaky, and now they know we're here. Let's shine the lamp into the hole. Light lamp. Your lamp is now on. The lamplight only reaches a few yards down the hole, where the rock is coated in a slimy black mold. You can tell that the walls are too slick to climb safely without assistance. Try using the rope to climb down safely? Tie rope to tree. And then... your feet slip a few times on the slimy rock, but you remain stable. Lula and Joseph descend carefully after you. Hey, that feels like we're doing pretty well. I made it back to Bedquilt. Yeah, I think what I'm learning is I don't find caves very comforting. You are in Bedquilt, a long east-west passage with holes everywhere, which we somehow managed to reach completely by accident just wandering around earlier. Joseph and Lula remove the computer equipment they're carrying on their backs and begin setting up. And that's the last trip, so everything's down here now. Yeah, just keep setting up the gear. I only understood you as far as wanting to set the up above. Set the up above? Yeah, we've confused the text parser here. Lula looks pensive. Let's ask her about the cave. Having second thoughts? I don't blame you. It's unsettling down here. Weird acoustics. Earlier, as we were climbing down, I thought I heard voices for a moment. Or not voices themselves, but the echoes of voices, singing. Some kind of eerie, tuneless working song. I'm glad I'm not down here alone. Yeah, you know what? Let's ask her where the treasure is. Maybe there's some treasure. We'd never find out if we don't ask. Huh. If we knew that, we wouldn't have to set up down here. I know you think this environment will help our project, get us in touch with a deep romantic reverence for some kind of profound natural spookiness, but I was more comfortable in the lab. The university picked the worst time to cut our funding. Typical institutional stinginess and academic politics. I mean, I felt like we were getting really close to something. Anyway, I don't know if it's sustainable down here. You know, to live and work here together? Joseph looks uncomfortable. Jealous. Hey, Donald, can you help me with the, wire up these generators? I'll assemble the synthesizer, but I could use some help with the serial interface if you have time. You hear an unfamiliar echo from a tunnel to the east. That's worrying. And I'm a little concerned that we don't have an option of, looking over there or checking out what's happening. Let's maybe get these generators wired up. I appreciate it, Donald. I'm not much of an electrician, you know. You know that. Joseph hands you a bundle of wires. His kitten curls up on a spool of cabling. Listen, the three of us had a good thing for a minute, wouldn't you say, up at the old place before it got ugly? I'm saying, we came down here to work, to really do it, Xanadu. And I mean, we've got to be rational about this. All three of us have got to put our feelings aside for a bit and be rational. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to tell us to be chill about him and Lula, which is real easy for the person in his position to say. Man. I guess let's just agree with whatever he's saying. There's no sense arguing about it here and now, right? Agree with Joseph. Joseph sets down the wire strippers in his hand. You really mean that? You're pretty okay, Donald. I mean, you have a clear idea on what's sensible. We're in unmapped territory here, strange to the whole thing. You've got to have a focus. She'll understand. You are interrupted by the ominous echo of a grating, scraping sound from the east, louder than before. What the hell was that? Let's check it out. Well, I'm glad we're all going together, but still a little worried about this. You know what will dispel my growing sense of unease? We'll just degauss it away. There, isn't that better? You rush down the tunnel, with Joseph and Lula close behind. Hey, how do you like all this, kid? I like boring stuff sometimes. I hear you, Ezra. Well, there's a lot of reading, but I'm really good at that anyway. The tunnel narrows, and soon you find yourself crawling on your hands and knees. Navigating the tunnel gradually becomes more awkward, as smooth rock gives way to jagged crystalline surfaces. Scratches and taps echo from the end of the tunnel, some short and piercing, some slower and groaning, as if dampened by water. The tunnel opens into a large room. Well, that's kind of familiar, huh? You are in a large, irregular chamber. The walls, floor, and ceiling are covered with crystalline projections. Strangers are here, scraping black mold from the crystals. They look up when you enter. One of them seems about to speak. Finally! Let's not run just yet. We don't know for sure that they mean us harm. It's just very ominous here. The stranger reaches for a box he's carrying and presses a plastic button. The box whirs to life, and a crackly voice blurts something unintelligible, then slows to a deep gurgle. He looks at his companions momentarily in confused disappointment. Then he returns his awful gaze to you. Joseph flees through a tunnel to the north. Lula flees through a tunnel to the northeast. Well, that's not great. Do I remember what direction we were going when we got here? No, I was going to say we should go after whichever one of them seems to be fleeing away from the direction we came from, because we should try to get them and pull them back toward the exit. But without being given any information about this, I guess it makes the most sense for us to follow Lula. We clearly had some kind of connection with her. Run north is not what I... Huh. Okay, apparently that did follow Lula. I would have expected that to have the other effect. Lula's headlamp scans across the northern passage as you run. Soft shadows loom perplexingly from floor to ceiling. You feel around to distinguish shadows from crystals, but eventually find yourselves cornered. You have hit a dead end. Who are they? Let's focus on just finding a way out of here. Escape. That's not a verb I recognize. How about look for escape? You can't see any such thing. Listen, I think they've gone back to work. They seemed strange somehow. Maybe they've forgotten about us. Alright, let's try to pass them quickly now. Don't make eye contact. Then we'll find our way back to the equipment. Do they have eyes? You are in Bedquilt, a long east-west passage with holes everywhere. Lula is here, panting for breath. They follow us? Where's Joseph? We should probably try to find Joseph. She does seem pretty scared. If I pick this, maybe Conway might type like comfort her or something, which seems like now that we're not in active danger anymore, maybe this is a good moment to try to like regain our composure. Reassure Lula. Okay, excellent. Conway and I on the same page. I know, but never mind. I don't want to think about it. I guess we should wait for Joseph here. This is where he'll go, right? I think maybe we should take a more active tack here. I only understood you as far as wanting to search. Yeah, we have to be more specific. Search... The equipment is audio stuff, right? So we could try to listen for him? Maybe. Yeah, let's do that rather than just wandering down the tunnels at random. Search equipment. The various computer and audio equipment casts angular shadows into the tunnels as you scan slowly across the pile. Nothing. Okay, how about down one of the tunnels? This seems like a really easy way for us to get lost, but I feel like going back outside is just abandoning him, unless he made it out before we did. We're gonna look down the tunnels, though. You select a tunnel at random. Your lantern illuminates several sets of footprints on the moldy cave floor, but they are impossible to identify. Joseph climbs down from the rope still tied above. Oh, that damn sound! Those damn voices! I don't even know what direction I was running. I wove through that network of tunnels. I ran my hand along the wall, always turning left, but every turn and every rock felt the same. For all I knew, I was running in circles. He's a smart man, though. That's a good strategy. Finally, I ended up here. And I hid. I panicked. I heard you talking, but I didn't think I could trust my senses. But listen, there's one thing I have to tell you. While I was out there, lost in the tunnels and caves, I came across the Zero, and I had no idea. It's like a real place. They pick up garbage, they deliver mail, they go to work and to church, but it has an awful kind of emptiness. Wandering through, I heard horrible echoes. Weird images got burned in my mind's eye. A television, a scarecrow, a crystal, a feather, a sandwich, a CRT monitor, a bottle, an anchor. Nobody thinks it's weird that that sandwich has a brick in it. Okay, maybe it's not weird. Maybe people here eat bricks. Lula looks down at her feet. Wait, what's up with Lula? Ask Lula what is up. Nothing. Just... Joseph, you sound... disturbed. Lula, you've heard the same damn stories I have. It doesn't matter now, damn it. I'm leaving. To hell with all of it. No, get him back on track. We're doing a thing down here, and presumably we're close. You shout something at Joseph about the project you are working on together. You'll die in these damn cold caves. And what about those men? You know they'll come back. Well... We can find somewhere to start a fire. That seems kind of like a non sequitur. We can hide from the strangers. Suggest finding a hiding place. You shout something at Joseph about going deeper into the caves. That's maybe not a good way to have phrased that. Did you hear their voices? They're not... They'll find you. But not me. I'm going back to the surface. Stop! Your stupid fight is ringing through the whole damn cave. Joseph is right. We can't stay here. I'm leaving too. But I'm not going back to the surface. I'm taking my station wagon and I'm heading down the Zero. Well... Boy, what do we think of that? I do not want to be left here alone. That's what I think of that. Get Lula's attention. You plead with Lula about your continued collaboration. I'll send you this tape when I'm done recording. I'll put it in the mail, and then you can see what your damned machine does with it. That's interesting. Lula and Joseph have left. Abandoned by your collaborators, your confidants, your companions, the only two among your colleagues with whom you've ever trusted the gift of your friendship. Pretty thick. Sounds like Beardo had his heart broken. You wander the tunnels alone, dragging along the components of your unrealized masterpiece, combing the underground passages for a new site in which to realize your vision. Sounds like a genius. How do you mean? Vain. Vanity. Ain't it the truth? My Aunt Remedios, before she got into the whole ethnomusicography thing, she was a painter, mostly nudes in oil. She had this model. I'll never forget him. Big, classically physical guy. Looked like he was about to storm Troy. He made everyone call him the Colonel. Weaver and I saw this guy naked a lot, and you couldn't help it. He was always posing somewhere in the house, chasing the light from room to room, while Aunt Remedios made a sketch of his profile or worked on the right mix of pigments for his abdomen. The Colonel had this magnificent hair, long black hair that ran down just to the bottom of his shoulder blades. One evening he was standing next to an open window in the back of the house. The sun was setting. Early spring, I think. It was kind of windy. Aunt Remedios was trying to get his hair right. She kept arranging it, like half in front and half behind, running over his shoulder and laying across his chest in this very specific way. But it itched him or something, and he'd do this weird indignant shuffle thing, or the wind from the open window would push it around, or he'd start and turn his neck when Weaver and I, or he'd start and turn his neck whenever Weaver or I ran by, and everything would be tangled again. So the final product was a swirl of black lines billowing around the top of his neck. Weird thing is, I don't even remember his face now. Just that black swirl. It's probably the best one she ever painted. That is a weird story. After what may have been years, you stumble out of a tunnel into a cavernous open space. Stalactites adorn the ceiling like grotesques. In the center of the room is an enormous rocky spire. This is where you will set up your equipment and establish your legacy. And then just, live there in the skeleton of your hopes and dreams, huh? Now is the time to continue your work. Research assistance, 0. Realism index, 37%. Romance index, 2%. Mold coverage, 0%. Well, hey, at least the romance index is above 0. You may hire a new research assistant, assign assistants to a task, or sleep until tomorrow. Well, it seems like it would be a good idea to have some research assistants. Do we have money? Uploading job advertisement to university message boards. You have hired Greg, who studies architecture. We probably need more than one assistant. No new applicants. Okay, maybe not. Try again later. I guess let's assign him to a task. You may assign research assistants to debugging, transcription, or speculation. Well, he's an architect? Or he's training to be an architect. I guess transcription's not really a thing that you need skills for. Sounds like he might not be a great debugger. He certainly doesn't have the skill set for it. Let's say speculation. How about that? And then sleep while he does it? Time passes. Greg muses about the love lives of fungal colonies. Now is the time to continue your work. Romance index up, but mold coverage also up, which is maybe a good thing, right? Let's try to hire a new assistant. Let's see if anybody will answer an ad today. You have hired Andrew, who studies statistics. Okay, maybe it's going to be one each day. Let's have them do some transcription from the machines. Let's have just one of them do that. And then also more speculation. Time passes. Andrew types up some lurid imagery from a dream journal. Greg posits that nature, not reason, is the master of industry. Greasy black mold is collecting on the computer equipment. Now is the time to continue your work. Okay, realism down, romance up. Maybe a dangerous combination. Let's see if we can hire somebody else. You have hired Weaver, who studies mathematics. And then we're going to assign Weaver to debugging. We're going to assign someone to debugging. You know what? I'm going to assign 2 people to debugging. And we're maybe going to take it easy on the speculation for the moment here, because I think we're threatening to lose touch with reality. Also, I clicked the wrong option there. So, do some transcription, other guy. Time passes. Weaver identifies a bug with the oxygen level simulation, but is unable to fix it. Greg fixes some weird math with some weirder math. Andrew extensively notates tunnel diameter as a function of length. Intruders, uh-oh. The strangers are doing something to the equipment, but you can't make out what. You hide behind a rock until they leave. With trepidation, you emerge from your hiding place hours later. Now is the time to continue your work. I'm not convinced this is getting us any closer to the 0. Okay, realism went back up. That's good. Did they take all of our mold? They seem to like mold. We hired Amy, who studies human-computer interaction. Okay, she'll probably be a good debugger. We're gonna assign 2 research assistants to debugging. Seems like we're getting our realism index up a little bit, and then we'll have, like... There's a lot of things to transcribe, I bet. And we can do a little bit more speculation. I have no idea what I'm doing, if it's not clear. Time passes. Weaver widens tunnels slightly to reduce the need for extra crouch commands. Andrew makes adjustments to the echolocation algorithm. Bats now fly normally instead of getting hung up on each other's wings and clustering together like horrible leathery tumbleweeds. Greg summarizes the migratory patterns of bats through the tunnels. Amy makes a convincing argument for the edibility of stone. Uh-oh. Amy might not be a great assistant. Weaver follows the strangers into the tunnels. She doesn't return, but neither do they. Huh. I'm kind of curious if something will happen if we get the realism index to 100. You have hired Marianne, who studies fine art. We're going to assign a bunch of people to debugging here. Let's everybody debug. Andrew fixed bugs. Marianne fixed bugs. Amy fixed bugs. Greg fixed bugs. Greasy black mold is collecting on the computer equipment. Maybe we should try to start over or something. This doesn't seem to be helping. How is starting over going to help? Come on. Okay, we're so realistic right now. We're going to do one more loop here. This video is getting a little bit long, but I'm like real in this right now. Am I allowed to hire more people? Rick, who studies library sciences. Hey, that seems useful. We're going to do one more day here. So it seems like we could use some more speculation. Let's have like 3 of our research assistants do that. And then also there's probably some, that's the wrong button. Also there's probably some, debugging that needs done. Put 1 person on transcription and 1 person on debugging. Time passes. Andrew fixed bugs. Rick carefully transcribes the sounds of dripping water in all their variations over a period of several hours. Marianne discards centuries of exhaustive data on the uniformity of cause and effect. Amy had ideas. Greg had ideas. So it seems like we've exhausted the text for speculate and for debug. A mail carrier on bicycle brings you a sizable bill from the power company. Now is the time to continue your work. Is it, though? Alright, let's try to quit and start over. Shannon seems pretty serious about this. I want to keep playing. Come on, kid, we've got stuff to do. Are you sure you want to quit? Yes? That was a rhetorical question. Oh, quit game? I only understood you as far as wanting to quit. Maybe we have to lose or die somehow in order to start over? Eat the lamp. Yeah, that'll do it. Eat lamp. Don't be ridiculous. Maybe we have to wait it out? Wait indefinitely. Time passes. Research assistants come and go. You don't encounter the strangers again, but sometimes you can hear the uncanny echoes of their voices off in the tunnels. Years pass. Mold accumulates. You and the remaining research assistants take to burning disused equipment in the center of the room. The black mold is intensely flammable and makes an excellent catalyst. It leaves behind a sweet narcotic perfume. One night you have visitors, outsiders, different ones. Then, later that night, an old friend. You really did go deeper into the caves. Premature end of file. Press any key to quit. Huh. Well, I think we just glimpsed something about Donald there. It turns out Act 3 is maybe a little longer than the others. Well, this seems like... Oh, actually Lula is here. Okay. We have to stop for the day. Sorry, everybody. Suspense is just gonna be a thing you have to live with for a little while. Come back next time, tomorrow, for I cannot even begin to predict what. And we'll see you then.